hello. It's Real Estate 360 show again.
You almost forgot about it.
No.
It's just you were right there.
No, I was not thinking. I was just, just listening to what we've been talking about in the break or before the show.
Are you with us?
I am with. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit. I've been on the slopes. I've got my ski jacket still on and my gloves and stuff. And look, what's going on? Maybe I'm not here 100%. So
I love it, man. Well, this is Real Estate 360.
Oh yeah, right.
It is Real Estate 360. I am Jason O. Miles, hashtag the Real Estate Trainer.
Yes, sir.
And you, of course, are
probably the ex co-host of this show. But right now, I'm just Steve Connolly, hashtag unemployable.
I wish I was with you this morning before the show. I love it, man. So listen, I want to just do a little housekeeping. I want to thank everybody for going on iTunes and Spotify and Google Play and YouTube, and of course going to the website realestate360show.com and engaging with us, subscribing, liking, listening, sharing the show, the podcast. Continue to do it. Engage with us. Look, we really want to see more engagement, to be honest with you. We get a little bit, but we want a lot. We want to know what you think. We want to know what you like. We want to know what you don't like. What do you want to hear about? What kind of problems are you having in your business? Give us some topics to talk about, because we could talk about anything. If it's business related, real estate related, of course. If you've got some even estate planning situations that you got going on, share it with us, because these are the things you need to really think about. So to that point, Steve.
Yes, we're going to be talking during this show about marketing and marketing for opportunities.
Yeah.
And, yes, this is real estate investing. And the things that we're going to talk about are geared to real estate investing. But, this marketing thing will work for just about any kind of business, really.
Pretty much. Bill Gates said at some point, I don't know when, but I heard it, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 months ago, if he's got something that he's selling and he makes $2, he's going to spend $1 on marketing.
Absolutely.
At
first.
Right.
But, he sells stuff for 50, that he makes for 50 cents and sells it for $350. So,
yeah.
There's a big room.
There's a lot of room for marketing.
Yeah, it sure is. That's
a lot of room. But it's important to market. Most people want to just say they're doing a thing and then hope the phone rings. You've got to make people know that you're out there. And there's different schools of thought as to how you market, what's working, what's not working. Do you want outbound calls or do you want inbound calls? How do you fish, basically?
Yeah.
The reality of it is you want to do it all. You want to make sure that your phone is ringing. And the only way to do that is to let people know that you're there. And the only way to do that is to market.
And it's not a bad idea, to create a brand if if you're of that idea or of that bent, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have a brand. It's 833 Will Buy, and everything that we do looks like the same. We have a logo with a little house. It's a little hokey looking.
Mm-hmm.
We designed it that way.
Yeah.
And it's got an 833 number. It's got an 833 website.
Mm-hmm.
We have
all the same
systems that'll answer the call for us or transfer it to wherever we want it transferred to.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps, because if you're marketing over here with direct mail, and you're marketing over there with bandit signs, and you're marketing over here with digital billboards, for example, it's not a bad idea to have everything the same brand.
That's for sure. Because for people, if they see it over and over again, there's a comfort level. There's a level of belief that you're real.
That's right.
We've done all kinds of stuff, especially with the bandit signs. We've done printed bandit signs, handwritten bandit signs, colorful bandit signs. And, I got to say, in some markets, those things actually work.
Yes.
But from my experience, I've had way better success off of just the handwritten ones. But however, in recent months, the branded bandit signs, because we've been branding that for, a while now.
Yes.
those are generating telephone calls. You know, we put those in front of the properties that we have and in other places, of course, and people will call.
And, you know, that's relatively indicative of what's going on in the marketplace. What I mean by that is right now there are a lot more people looking for values and opportunities in real estate transaction, houses and properties that fit the numbers. And there's way more of those people than there are the houses right now because of the squeeze in the economics.
Yeah.
And so when we put those signs out there, I get a lot more calls with people looking for houses than what the sign says, which is we buy houses. But they're calling saying, "Hey, do you have any inventory?"
That's right. But that's the beauty of it. That's that whole reverse
branding
marketing, the reverse engineering thing.
Yes, sir.
You know, because we tell people this all the time. You know, if you haven't found any houses and you're marketing for houses, you got to go to where the houses are.
Yeah.
And you know what? You might not make $10,000 on a flip. You might make $2,500 or $1,500 by selling someone else's. But if your goal is to make money, does it matter whose house you sell?
Yeah.
Right.
And I love the point you're making there. It's very difficult to find houses in the economic areas where everything is really stable. And so people are less likely to be in a situation where they have a problem that they need to be
right in mass.
Need help
in
with.
Mass anyway.
In mass, exactly. Yeah, you definitely can pick them out here and there.
Yeah,
because you know people get old and die. You know, people or they get sick.
They get divorced.
Yes.
You know, they lose their jobs. Things happen. You know, bankruptcy occurs. I mean, it's just what it is. Right. And we have people that are specifically going after some of those particular areas as well. A little more time consuming.
Right.
A little bit of a different process. Definitely a different conversation. But they are valid processes in terms of how you want to find properties. Exactly. You know, you can go after divorces. You can go after bankruptcies. You can do those things. You can sit there and pull all the documentations from the, what is it? I was going to say prohibition.
Probate. Yeah. How old are you? Oh, my God. I thought I was the old one in the group here. I don't remember prohibition.
Give me my whiskey. Take it out of the bathtub already.
Yeah, get out of the speakeasy and get out there and do some marketing.
That's right.
You know.
So, yeah, man, I mean, there's a lot of ways that you got to go about it. But you know what? For me, learning how to do this from the ground up, just like you.
Sure.
I had to do all those things to decide what I didn't like.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Right.
That's
right.
You
know, I used to, it's very interesting. So I wanted to go deal with foreclosures or pre-foreclosures, right? So I was looking for properties in specific areas, and I would literally go through the paper because it was delivered on a paper back then and pick out the properties in the zip codes that fit the criteria that I wanted.
Yeah.
And I would pick out 100 because there's always more, but I didn't have any money.
Right.
So I had X number of flyers, right? And so I wanted a high probability of closing the deal. So I looked at the areas that I wanted and the deals that made sense in terms of when it was purchased, those kind of things. So there would be enough equity in it. And then I would take 100 flyers and I would mail them to those people. Oh. And then I would follow that up with a letter. And then I would go over the weekend and take my flyer, because my face was on the flyer, and knock on those 100 doors over the course of the weekend. But I would do, 10 or 12 deals out of 100.
Those are huge numbers.
They are.
Holy moly.
But the work that went into it is not sustainable.
I'm lazier than that.
Exactly.
So listen, here's one thing I think I'd like for us to do, and this is just off the top of my head because I like flyers, and I may not have enough time, for this until we get to the next segment. But I like flyers, like what you're talking about. But I'm hiring your son,
yes,
to put out flyers after Christmas.
Yes,
and it's for Will Buy LLC, of course, and he's going to go put them on 500 mailboxes, and I'm doing them 2 up, which means you get 2 on a 8.5 by 11 page. So let's see what happens with that. So that's 500. I may have to put out 1,000 before we get one. But you talked about, do you want outbound or inbound calls? I like people calling me.
That's right.
And so because there's a whole psychological thing going on there.
That's right.
But let's see what happens with that. And so I'll be getting I've got a great code. I got a special code from Office Depot. So these 72-cent color flyers, that you can get that cost 72 cents a piece, I can get them for 32 cents.
Whoa.
So, and you cut that in half. Now I got 16 cents per flyer, plus the cost of putting them out. So it's really cheap.
That is pretty cheap.
Yes, sir.
That's very, very cheap.
Now, if I can turn that couple $100 into a $10,000 or a $5,000 or even $1,000, assignment fee,
you're winning.
is that a good deal?
That's a great deal. You're winning.
That might be something to talk about with the mentor.
Let's take a break and talk about it.
Okay.
We'll Buy Your House. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla
Alrighty, we are
español.
back.
Llámanos.
We
Call
are
us
back.
today.
Real Estate 360 Show. But listen, Steve,
Yes.
you just made a reference to something called a mentorship program.
Oh, yes, I did. That
What
was
is that
so
all about?
long ago. But yes. So we have a mentor program, and this is going to be open for anyone that is within the sound of our voice, and that includes all of our iTunes and iPods and YouTubes and anything that you can imagine. So if you can hear this, you may want to be a participant in the mentor program. I don't know. Now, what that is you can go to the realestate360show.com. I must be overheating. This jacket is really hot.
Your brain is boiling, isn't it?
I don't know. And fill out
Steve
the
Conley
application.
on the Twitter.
Yeah, man. Fill out the application. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take somebody that is really, really interested in learning how to be a real estate investor.
Yeah.
And show them the ropes and show them what to do, how to do it, give them ideas, find out what they like to do, and then say, okay, if you like to do this, then we suggest you do that in the way of marketing. Or if you like, if you like to make phone calls and make cold calls, you can do that. If you want people calling you, you can do this. And then we'll teach them how to recognize an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Because that's what our last show was about, was recognizing opportunity.
That's right.
And from that, we're going to teach somebody how to be a successful real estate investor.
Steve, I just have to ask. I think that's great, by the way. I want to say, if you guys want to be a part of that mentorship program, you have to go to realestate360show.com and just fill out a very simple application. It's more of a questionnaire.
Correct.
And do that. And that's where you go to do that. So if you have an interest in being a part of that, it's 1 year, and you get to use all our resources. We're going to show you how to utilize these things. We're going to show you the processes. We're going to work with you. You're going to make your own decisions, of course, but we're going to give you the processes, and we're going to give you everything you need to find success in this and walk you through it, basically hold your hand through these deals so that you can begin to change your life financially.
Not really going to hold their hands.
No, not technically, no.
Well,
no.
Because here's the thing. We want you to do this.
That's right.
We already know how to do it. This is not about us doing it for anybody else. We're going to say, hey, do this, do that, do this. But it's going to be up to whoever we select on this mentor program. And we're not going to just pick anybody. We want somebody that has a burning desire to be successful in real estate.
Because we really do want to create independent recipients of wealth.
Right.
Because by doing that, they'll do it. It'll be reciprocated over and over again. But I have to ask you, sidebar, tell me about the outfit.
Yeah, okay. You
guys got to watch this. Go to YouTube, Real Estate 360.
This is ski season, man. And so I am just putting on the outfit, in preparation for going skiing somewhere.
I like the fact that you actually have built-in windshield wipers.
Oh, yeah, I sure do. And I didn't know what they were. But yeah, they're right here. So if you just do this with your, but I need goggles, really. These aren't bad, though.
No.
These are
I would
pretty good.
imagine those wipers work good with goggles as well.
They work better with goggles, I would imagine.
Oh, that's amazing.
But yeah, listen, it's about the lifestyle, And if I have to precursor and pre-frame by putting the outfit on and acting as if I'm going skiing, then that's what I'll do.
Because you're there.
That's right.
So, Steve, marketing. I got to tell you, I've worked with some very interesting people over the years on many different levels. And I was working with this group out of Boston. A very big outfit in their area. But they grew. I mean, these guys went from $1 million a year to $15 million a year in 1 year.
Wow. That's big.
It was real rapid growth. And they didn't have the processes in place to really see that through. They were, even the $1 million a year they were doing, which is great money.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic money. And it was just two guys.
Now,
they had a whole company, but.
Is that sales or net profit or what?
That was their net profit. That was their net annual profit. And they're in Boston. It's a much bigger market. I mean, their flips, they were clearing anywhere between $80,000 and $130,000 a deal. I mean, they were doing very, very well for themselves. It doesn't take a lot to do that. But when you're getting those kind of numbers, 10, 12 properties a year, and you're there.
Yeah.
But that's all they were doing. 10 or 12, well, maybe 15 deals a year.
Mm-hmm.
And those 15 deals a year were netting them $1 million. But when they went from $1 million to $15 million, literally in 1 year, they could not scale that, and they did not know how to keep that level of business going. And we had a lot of conversations as to how we were going to make this happen for them, what they needed to do to sustain, this kind of growth. Because the reality of it is they wound up with 2 years of that growth and kind of fell off after that. I mean, they still made more than $1 million. They went up to $5 million, but, making $15 million a year over year for them was a lot of work. And they were unwilling to really put forth the effort into it. They had a marketing budget, and this is no joke initially. They had a marketing budget. This is paying for print and labor.
Right.
They wanted to pay $6,000 a month. Now, for a small operation, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. But for an operation that is going to do, $15 million, it's not going to happen. So we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth about what they needed to do and how that looked. Ultimately, we agreed on a budget of $50,000 a month. That $50,000 a month was going to bring them approximately 10 deals a month, based on what they wanted to do, because they didn't want to do 10 or 12 fix and flips a month. They wanted to do 4, 3, because that's what their contractors could actually handle. And they wanted to wholesale everything else.
Makes sense.
Absolutely makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're picking 3 or 4 of these 15 deals, they're wholesaling, 12, 11, and they wanted to make $20,000 on a wholesale deal, right?
Okay.
So, which is fine. We have to look at the numbers. It's not always going to be that way. Ultimately, their average wound up being about $11,000 a flip, which is fantastic.
Sure.
All right, because they're doing 10 of them or so a month.
$110,000 a month is not a
That's
bad,
right. And then the 3 or 4 fix and flips, that's going to take them 3 to 6 months to fix it and then sell it.
Yeah.
Well, at the time, it was they had a very efficient team, so they would be in and out of these things in 4 to 5 months. Mm. But that money doesn't start coming until the 4th or 5th month.
That's right.
So it's just wholesale money, wholesale money, wholesale money. So they're doing a little over $100,000 a year with a month, with a $50,000 a month budget, with fix and flips being done to the tune of 3 to 4 a month that are going to make them over somewhere around $250,000 a month once they start to sell.
If they get through the first 2 quarters, then they're golden. But if they can't make it through the first 2 quarters, then they're done.
You know what their arguments with me were?
No, what?
They did not want to pay $50,000 a month for marketing. They thought it was too much.
Okay.
Now, in what world do you live in when you spend $50 a month and bring back $110, $120?
Is that a bad deal?
Is that a bad deal?
I don't know.
You're doubling your money, more than doubling your money, and you're building future revenue with your fix and flips. significant future revenue with your fix and flips.
Absolutely.
$250,000 a month, $350,000 a month, $360,000 a month is what it turned into for them. But before they could continue to, with me in this particular situation, they didn't want to spend that money. And it wasn't until the 6th month they'd started making money that they said, you know what, we're going to try some different things marketing-wise. And that's how they fell from 15 to 5.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
they did not want to spend the money on marketing.
How
else are you going to get that level of property?
That's a great question. I have no idea. I don't have an answer for that. The only other answer is labor. But then you got to pay for labor.
You got to pay.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to do it. I mean, our job, Steve, really isn't, it's not going out there and flipping a house and doing all this. Our job is to create the funnel that brings it for our team.
Absolutely.
Our job is to do the marketing.
Our job is to create the opportunities.
Absolutely.
And recognize the opportunities and put them into the system so that they generate cash flow.
That's right, because we can't do it all. I'm not going to go knocking on doors anymore.
No.
I don't have the time for that. I don't have the time to cold call. I personally don't have the time for that anymore because we have a machine now.
That's
Now,
right.
if it's just me and I'm just starting out and I've got nothing but time, then I'm on the phones. Then I'm knocking on doors. It's because that's what you have to do,
Sure.
right? But once you put systems and processes in place and you put money behind that machine and you know that it works and you have a team to see it all through, your job changes. Your performance in this big play is not what it was when you began. It has to change because we're the driving force for what we do.
It does. And in the next segment, we have Scott Bowen of 5 Star Services coming in here in the studio with us.
That's Mr. Knock the Ugly Off of it.
That's
isn't
the
it?
guy.
Right.
And so he's going to talk about, he's one of our team members.
Let's do it. Let's take it.
Hi, this is Sammy with Sammy Hadid Real Estate Keller Williams. Are you looking for a top producing agent who will look out for your best interests, top dollar on the sale of your home, a well-negotiated contract, an efficient closing? Please call me at 305-978-4249. I'm more than happy to set up a consultation. I'll put together a proposal for you to net top dollar for your home, what it is that I'm doing to get all my homes sold. Then you can decide what's best for you. Again, I'll do whatever it takes to get your home sold for top dollar, and I promise you that I will protect your equity with my life. 305-978-4249. Sammy Hadid, Hadid.
Hey, this is Real Estate 360. Real Estate 360, we are back. We are back. Steve, I had to take the driver's side.
That's okay. That's fine with me. I'm overheating over here. I got the ski jacket on. I had to lose the gloves. I still got my glasses though.
Yeah.
Got to be cool with the glasses.
Oh, ready for the slopes, man.
So that means watch us on the video. On YouTube, on Vimeo, whatever. Go to realestate360show.com and you can see all the shows right there.
That's right. That's right. So, Steve, today we have Mr. Knock the Ugly Off It, Scott Bowen.
Yes, we do.
Hey, everybody.
So
why do we call you that anyway?
Well, it's not a name that I thought I would ever grow into. All right. I don't know what you would do with that name outside of real estate.
That's right. Well, I'm sure we could come up with some.
Wow. You're hurting me. This is a tough group. Where's the love?
Yeah, but in some situations, if you try to knock the ugly off, you might end up in jail. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah. There's that too.
There's some uglies that you just can't knock off.
Yeah. Yeah.
But on houses, that's not the case.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
So, Scott, we have been discussing our processes, in terms of marketing, what we do. Towards the last segment, we talked a lot about the funnel that we create from our marketing and then how we, hand down the processes to, the next tier, the next, what's next.
Sure.
So once we have a property that's come in, it's been identified, we have an appointment that's set up, we got to get that thing looked at.
Right. Right.
We need to know really what's going on with this thing. right?
Right.
Is the foundation gonna be stable enough to fix the house? Do we got to fix the foundation? Are there water leaks underneath the house? Because that can be a real problem. We've got a house like that right now that you helped us
Sure.
handle. But all these things that maybe we miss, because we just don't know to look for that, or maybe we know to look for it, but we don't know the telltale signs of a problem.
Right.
So we have to send that down to the next tier, the expert that does those things, because I don't know that there's a water leak unless it's leaking water, because I don't know what to look for.
Right. Don't feel bad. I mean, you don't really know a house till you live in it, and then you know everything.
Yeah.
And so it's helpful to me. First thing I do when I get someone that shows interest in getting a repair done is I'll go online and take a look at the picture of, like, from the street, through Zillow or one of those, and that gives me an idea. And then I'll take a look at kind of how that might tie in if it's obvious. And then, of course, once I get out there, if I can meet someone that has spent time in the house, that helps to just make everything very concise.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always things to look for. I mean, there's things that you'll just won't see till you're really in the thick of it, looking at everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it matters.
Yeah.
It matters.
And when you get to a house, do you have like a process? Do you start at one spot and you kind of take it inside or outside? Or
Good question. It's actually a system, and depending on what I'm there for, like let's just say if it's water intrusion, then of course I'll be starting on the outside because I'm looking at the yard itself, the geographics, what's around it. Is the house sitting lower than the street grade, right? Which is called a negative grade, meaning that the house is lower than the street is, or the neighbors around it. I mean, some houses, let's face it, they sit in a bowl,
Right.
and everybody's water goes straight to them.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you have to start from the outside. And I always look at that from the roof line down, and if it's not water, if it's anything else, of course you get specific with it, but there's always, a lot of times there's feeder issues that, just using the water as an example, if you can keep the water off the foundation to begin with, then you have a lot less chance for it to get into the house.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
That
Absolutely.
does. Yep. So what are you all specializing in at the moment, if there's any one thing?
That's a good question, too. This time of year, folks tend to wait till the last minute. We're doing a lot of roofing issues, and not everybody needs a new roof, but some folks on the other end of the spectrum, they won't acknowledge that there's a roofing issue till the shingles are on the kitchen floor, right? It's tough when you go out to somebody's house and they have a water issue going on, and it's a roof leak, and it's like, well, I ask them, I say, okay, here's what you have, because the first thing is to go in, talk to them, make them comfortable that you actually know what you're doing.
Right.
Okay, you're not just somebody off of Craigslist that just shows up and tries to sell them a bucket,
Right.
or a tarp.
I like that story you tell about that bucket, by the way.
Oh, yeah, real stories.
Yeah.
Life happens to everybody.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we do is go out and talk to the folks that are there, see what they're experiencing, and then see what they've had done previously. Because usually when folks call someone else in, they've already had the brother-in-law that they owe, $200 to come in and give him a shot at it first. And so we end up fixing a lot of $6 haircuts, if you know what I mean. We get up there, and the first thing we have to do is undo what was done.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's still not working.
Yeah.
This last one that I went to, we were the fourth person that they've called in. And it just, when I got up on the roof, it just looked like an experimental zone of silicone and black tar and, plastic. And, you got to give these folks an A for effort because they're trying, but
they're not fixing the problem.
Well, roof leaks specifically can be a tough cookie to crack because the leak itself may be above where it's coming out in the house.
Absolutely.
Because of the pitch of the roof, it'll run down wherever the point of actual water intrusion is, and it can run down the rafters. And then when it finally drops off, that's where you start seeing the ceiling issues in your house looking up.
Right.
So when we go up there, it's always a matter of really what they need first is just a very good assessment.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go up there and just fix it. Go up there, look at it, figure out probability, we'll go up there with, you'll laugh, but I look like a landscaper going up there. Rakes and push brooms and blowers and things like that. Because when we get up there, it's usually that this time of year, if there's a canopy around, there's a ton of leaves and pine straw and stuff up there. So if you just go right above the leak and start making repairs, you're probably not going to hit it.
We had a very interesting situation 2 or 3 years ago on a property we bought, and the house had seemingly a new roof, right?
Okay.
A few years old. Someone started the renovation, and put a new roof on it.
All right.
But when it started to rain, we were renovating the house, and it started to rain. At this time, it rained for like 3 days straight, and all of a sudden there were water leaks everywhere.
Oh, wow!
On the sheetrock, right inside the house. We're like, what's going on? Upon further inspection, the roofers, however they did this, they had all these nail holes all over the place. And of course they have to nail the stuff in, but however they did it, or maybe it was how they laid the paper, there was water coming in from these holes all over the place. Just all over. We wound up having to redo that roof, which was, of course, not in the budget because the roof was relatively new.
Sure, and you'd already seen it, so you thought it looked good.
Absolutely.
I get that, yeah.
But because of how the roofers did the work, there were leaks everywhere. And it wasn't a situation where you could go up and fix the leak. I mean, they were coming from everywhere.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a nightmare.
And they were coming through the nail holes. And then, of course, that water was leaking through that paper some kind of way.
Sure.
It just needed to all be redone. But that's shoddy work by the contractor in that particular situation, or whoever that guy was.
Yeah.
On your big ticket items, like your systems, roofing system, HVAC system, plumbing system, whenever you're doing an inspection, some of that's hands-on. You won't get that off the computer. You won't get it from just looking at the house from the outside. You want to try to get as much activity in the house as you can, meaning like if there's rain and so forth, that's like, when we do a roof repair, we can test it with a garden hose, but let's face it, that's not the same as a deluge of water for 3 days.
Exactly.
So there's a big difference there. But when we go up and we're walking a roof, and you look down at the roof where your feet are, you should never see a nail, period. All nails get covered because when they use the term shingling, that simply means that the shingles are laying overlapping, and you shouldn't see nails, right? But we see them all the time where folks go up there, they throw up the roof, and they're trying to get to the next job.
Right.
And that's just rough. And then, of course, when you go inside, that's the ripple effect where one problem's led you now to drywall repairs and priming and painting and blah, blah, blah. So it's worth it to take the time to really see what you have.
Right.
But what you're saying about just looking at the roof and budgeting, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Totally
because
get it.
you think that you know what you're looking at until you don't.
Right.
And again, it's just to stress the importance, really, of having qualified people help you with your process, especially if you intend on doing the renovation.
Sure. Absolutely.
So, when I walk through that, I can tell you, I mean, I've looked at I don't know how many houses. I knew that this was fine.
Well, I can see why you would say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until I had 3 days of rain.
Of course.
Well, and there's something else just on roofs, since we happen to be talking about it. Whenever you're having a new roof put on, the manufacturer of that roofing product, they have a certification that they will certify roofers to install their particular product in a certain way. And that way, when that's done through a certified roofer, and I'm not talking about just some guy that pulls up that plops a sign in the yard and works out of the back of his vehicle and does that. I'm talking about a roofing company that is certified. And when they put their roof on, since the manufacturer has trained them on what to do, the do's and don'ts, that's how you get the manufacturer's warranty to back up the work that your roofer just did for you. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
It's a big marketing plus when you have the certification from the manufacturer
Sure
as well. I mean, that's something that's marketable to say, listen, I work with, I'm certified with, ABC brand.
Correct.
to do these roofs. We do them in a very specific manner, and this is how it looks.
That's right.
So and that bodes well for what it is you want to do.
Well, and the work that we do for, like, if someone's purchasing a home and it needs a new roof. If it is for a regular homeowner who just has a problem, we go out and just fix the problem. Like I said, not everybody needs a new roof, but we can do that.
Let's take a quick break, though,
Okay.
and let's get back to this show.
Sure. Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it is, call us. I'm Scott with 5 Star Services. We do home renovations from your rooftop all the way down to the ground. Interior, exterior, it doesn't matter. We do it all. Give us a call. You can reach us at 404-348-2348. That's 404-348-2348. Or you can get us online at www.5starservicesatlanta.com. Give us a call. Estimates are free. We'll be happy to take a look at what you have. This time of year, we're getting a lot of roof activity because of all the rain, but we can handle, like I said, anything from the roof down. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it is, call us. I'm Scott Bowen with 5 Star Services. Thanks.
And welcome back, Real Estate 360 Show. We have Mr. Scott Bowen with 5 Star Services on board with us here today. And actually, the last thing we talked about, Miles, you were saying, let's get into more of that, or do you want to move on to another subject?
We know about the roofs. We know about the importance, truly know about the importance of having someone. Water intrusion is a major problem everywhere. Everyone knows it. You need someone to look at it. And that's the point I was trying to make before. Even though I've done thousands of these things, I still couldn't see it because I'm not trained to see it.
Sure.
You know, and so I'm saying that to say, get with Mr. Knock the Ugly off it over here and let him tell you, or someone, what's going on with some of the things you need to look at. But you do a lot more than just that. Water intrusion.
Sure.
During the break, we were talking about the Knock the Ugly Off, and you were talking about a situation that you came up with. Let's talk about the Knock the Ugly Off in a minute. In a minute.
You want to talk about that in a minute?
I want to hear the story first.
Okay, all right. Is this the
I'm not sure. He said it just happened.
Yeah, this just happened to me over the weekend.
Okay.
I mean, when you're going into folks' houses, you see how they live. And sometimes it's just like how you would live. Other times it's very different. And just recently, I was in a gentleman's house, and he was an older gentleman and deaf, deaf as a post. But so he would not. He was.
He didn't listen well.
Yeah, he was not a good listener. Yeah, like most of the husbands out there, I'm told. So I went up into the attic. We were troubleshooting an electrical issue because we do other things besides just roofs and so forth. But a lot of times when you have an electrical issue, it might be up in the attic where the junction box is, where the wires tie in, right, to go to different places.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up there, and I had been in this house before, but I was working in the basement then, right? So I was down there, and I saw a snake skin hanging from the plumbing above my head. And I was in this house probably close to a year ago, and that snake skin was well over 7 feet long, right? And I mean, it was easily 7 feet because it hung down from the pipes, and it was hanging down like in the shape of an M or a W.
Mm-hmm.
It was just would go up and drape over and come back down and go back up and drape over and come back down.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not that fearful of things, but a snake gets my attention.
Yeah, 7-foot snake will do that.
Right. And so, and I spoke to the old man that lived there, and he said, "Well, I don't have rats," and I'm like, "I can believe that. I bet you don't have a cat either."
Yeah.
And so, but that was a year ago, right? And we were just joking back and forth, and so we were at the house troubleshooting an electrical issue in the kitchen, and the house was on not breakers, but the circuits, the old glass circuits, right?
Wow.
60 amp service for the whole house.
Wow.
Guys lived there forever. And I said, no problem. I'll take a look. I'll see what I can do to help you. So I went up into the attic, and my crew, they were there talking to the gentleman in the other room. Well, because he's very hard of hearing, they're hollering to him. He's hollering back, right? So they can all kind of hear each other. And it was like herding cats, right? And I was upstairs, and I went to go from one end of the house to the other, because that's where the doorway to get in the attic was in one end, and the problem I had to troubleshoot was in the other.
Mm-hmm.
I got up there, and I'm going across the little
The
2-inch.
rafters?
Yes, and they're 2 inches. There's no flooring put down.
Right.
So I'm going through. I have a small broom that I'm using as a cobweb
Mm-hmm.
catcher, right, as I'm going forward. Because you can imagine this house was built in the 40s.
Yeah.
And,
he never goes up there.
Never. And so as I'm traversing through these on a 2-inch piece of lumber, and a 2-inch might be overstating it, you know?
Right.
I felt like I was walking on ice skates, but that's, we do this. So I'm going the length of the house. And as I'm up there, I am walking. It's very dark, and I always have 2 flashlights on me. My big one that I was using, and as I'm moving forward, I hear a noise, and of course, the snake skin immediately pops into my head. But what are the odds that it's
Right.
up there with me, right?
Right.
Well, apparently they were pretty good.
Oh.
So I'm moving, and I'm about halfway. The house is probably 50 to 60 feet in length, and I'm at least halfway, a little more than halfway. So I'm as far in as I am out. If I head straight on and fix this problem, the house won't burn down. We're good. If I don't get there, or I turn back for any reason, we could have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm going across, all I can hear is the hollering downstairs, back and forth, right, where they're talking. So they're no help to me, because I was like, hey, anybody know about what might be up here? Nothing. No, they don't hear a word. So I'm going along, and I look over, because in the movie Star Wars, a long time ago, there was the guys, I guess it was Han Solo, and then they got caught in the trash compactor,
Mhm.
and there was this big serpent-like thing that was
Yeah.
swimming around, and you could see the water move. Well, as I looked to my left, I could see the insulation moving, and I mean moving, right?
Yeah.
This thing was apparently in the insulation underneath it.
Mm-mm.
It was just moving, and I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So as I'm walking along, I'm telling myself, okay, I don't get paid enough for this. This is not in my job description, because that's the way I handle things when they're going sideways. I look for the humor in them, and I'm like, well, okay, I guess we'll just keep going. And then, of course, as I'm moving along, I'm thinking, wow, it's been a year. What if that snake is not alone?
Yeah.
What if there's more snakes up here?
Or how big is it now?
Right, exactly right. And I'm saying it had some length to it, because I could see and I'm looking over with my light, and then my light went zzz, and it went out, and I was like, oh my gosh, no way. So I said, okay, stay focused. I'm in the mine here. I'm going to.
That's dedication, because
Well,
I'd
man.
have been out of there.
So as I'm moving, it dawns on me that snakes can go really anywhere, and I've got a peak above me with timber hanging down, and I hear, and I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me! So I turned my hat around so I can see, because I figure, okay, worst case scenario, I get bit and I fall through the ceiling, right?
Why didn't you just leave?
I had a job to do, right? Okay, I'm focused on this. I got to fix the electrical issue. So,
5-star.
So the worst case scenario, I get bit. But then I thought, what if I get bit in the face or neck? That's a real problem. I don't want to roll around with at least a 7-foot snake, but my odds are pretty good. But coming with more than one or getting bit above the shoulders, that's a game changer. So as I was moving forward, I'm looking up, I'm looking down, and like I said, my light went and it went out. So I pull up my little light, which is good, but it's more of a laser light, meaning it focuses, doesn't give you a wide beam. And so I can only see what I'm as I'm panning. So now I have the insulation moving to my left above my head. And I'm looking around, looking up, I'm looking down. And remember, I'm walking on these little edges of the boards, and I've still got maybe 15 more feet to go. And I'm also swinging my little broom around to get the cobwebs out so I'm not covered in them. Well, long story short, I finally got over there. So I'm trying to work. I'm looking up. I'm looking down. I'm looking back and forth. Once I get it, what I need assessed, when I know what I need, because I have to get the materials, I got to go back up here. So now I'm heading back out. And when I do, the house has some soffit issues. And long story short, as I'm going toward the exit, which is the little pull-down staircase, something is so big, it knocked over. You know how folks use their attic for storage? Well, a full-size one of those suitcases that you pull behind you. It's got the handle on it, and it was heavy, and something knocked it over on its back. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. You know, I'm going to fire myself.
So did you see the snake?
When I got to the very end, right, I was, it's hotter than the attic, but I was really sweating. As I get down there, all of a sudden, the snake had turned around and was moving toward me, and I could hear that music in my head, Donna, 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 and I'm moving faster. And as I got closer to the door, I put my hand over on a crate that was there. And when I did, a family of squirrels went out and went everywhere.
Well, it wasn't a snake.
It was a snake, but the squirrels were up there too. And they were running everywhere in every direction.
You know what? That is a heck of a twist in the story.
I'm just saying.
I didn't see it coming.
Neither did I. And I was like, thank you. When I got downstairs, my crew was still talking to that older gentleman, and they were all hollering. I just didn't say a word.
So I'm afraid to ask the next question because that was a heck of a story.
It's a true story. Who makes that stuff up?
The knock the ugly off it, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, in knocking the ugly off, what we do is we take a look. You look at a house and you see what how the house should look.
I'll take the short version of this.
Well, no problem. To fit into the neighborhood. And, like if we have gutters hanging off or the house has mold or, things that are just screaming, I need to prepare before, like, let's say you're going to sell the property to someone else. Mm-hmm. They don't need to see hardcore stuff that really that takes away from the way the property looks. It's better to get the ugly knocked off of it so that when they get it, they can see that they have room in the renovation to do what they want to do.
Like do the landscaping, cut the bushes
Correct.
down, maybe do the roof or something.
Right, exactly right.
Maybe add a little porch or a cover over the porch on the front or something.
Things like that. I mean, you go into houses and there's been a fire.
Yeah.
You want to get all that fixed before to get top dollar for what you're going to do, because if you're going to move it to someone else or a retail buyer, they need to see it fixed. They don't need to see it necessarily just looking the way that it was when we got there. Sure.
So let me ask you.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to get a hold of you so that they could watch you wrestle snakes and squirrels in their attic,
you're
how
hurting
can
me.
they do that?
You're hurting me. Oh, my gosh. You can reach me at 5 Star Services. It's 404-348-2348. That's 404-348-2348 or 5starservicesatlanta.com. And I would prefer that you not necessarily call me for snake wrangling,
There's another service for that out there, right? Animal control.
We run into the darndest things.
That's right. But listen, I want to thank everybody for being with us. Thank you, Scott, for coming to share your story with us today.
It's a pleasure.
Your wrangling story. And make sure that you're listening to us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, the website, realestate360show.com. Fill out the application if you want to get mentored. My name is Jason Miles.
Steve Connolly.
And thank you so much for listening to us today.